Welcome to Channel AMEC, your insight to the Australian visa system. G'day everyone, my name is Carl Young, your online YouTube visa consultant. Are you interested about migrating to Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell on the side so once we have all the updates and news, you'll be the first one of getting all the insight. Now today's video we would like to come in and have a little detailed discussion in regards to the Compliant Significant Investment Fund, which is a definition, a phrase of definition being defined by the migration regulations for the 1AA visa, specifically talking about the SIV and also the investor stream. Now during July 2021, there has been an amendment and change of the business innovation category of visas, which by removing first the 132 visas and reintroduce the compliant significant investment definition as the idea for the investor stream. So back then the investor stream was not required for the applicant to invest into the so-called compliant significant investment fund, but however they need to inject the fund required into a different state of their treasury bond by buying the treasury bond, government bond. However, as the trend of the nation moving on, as all the world had moved on, the treasury bond is not as fashionable as previous thoughts. They want money to be invested into technological and advanced fund, which is more flexible in a way how the government can redistribute those funds into different category of needs to cater what the 21st century requires. Anyhow, let's have a look into what the immigration webpage actually shows, and then I will go into the actual law and policy to go through all the detail. I know some of my video might be lengthy, but I wanted to make it complete, so people wanted to get in those detail. Having this video will be very, very helpful, but I'll tend to stay not to be like lecturing. Anyhow, let's have a look. Okay, so the significant investor stream, which is commonly called 1AA-C, as the category C for significant investor stream, does require a $5 million into Australian investment, which is what they call again. They will have that there. Into the compliant investment framework information. So we'll go into the definition of that one and how that will actually be detailedly explained in its policy. And so as for the 1AA-B on the investor stream, if we go to eligibility again, where is it? Investments. So they will talk about after July 1st 2021, and here we go, compliant significant investment. So today's detail will go into the policy to actually check what actually define the CSI, compliant significant investments. So let's go into the legend, which is the database of the Australian immigration regulation and law. So under this one, it's actually very complex. It says Division 5.3 Regulation 5.19C, and here we go. That's the actual regulation giving a definition straight away to compliant significant investment. So let's skip the contents and summaries and let's go to the background, and I'll have a read and explain what it is. Okay, so previously the CSI is invented for the use of SIV for 5 million. So they are now taking that idea and implement that straight into the 1AA-B for the investor stream. So it's basically the same, but the amount of fund required is different. So let's have a look. So background, the SIV program aims to boost national economy through increasing flow of investment by enabling Australians to compete efficiently, blah, 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 and require 5 million into so-called compliant significant investments. Okay, so the definition, they actually call that because they have a definition with ratio, how much of that fund is going into that, and how much of that fund in percentage and ratio is going to another distribution. So we have that detail here. So let's skip the definition of what Australian ADI and AFS is. I'll explain that if we have that, if we go through that one. So the SIV applicant required to make this fund 5 million for at least 4 years. Now, bear in mind the new law now changed that 4 year into 3 if you do that now nowadays. But since the change of the law, I haven't seen many interest. I think because it's the irregularity and also the world economic situation with the pandemic is actually shaky. So people with money obviously will not make a very decisive choice at this point of time. Anyhow, let's go in here. So value of that, so within that 5 million, if you are in the SIV, that the total of the 500k, that's 10% that will be invested into venture capital fund. Okay, so that is the requirement. Okay, so 10% into VC fund, and then the 30%, 1.5 mil into emerging company investments. Now, what are these ones? These ones are predominantly those companies they are about to be listed on stock. So in other words, they are quite safe in the investment risk point of view. To see emerging company investments, it sounds not really safe because emerging, I don't know who are they emerging with, but it's basically those companies they are unlisted, but they are about to be listed. So the proportion is very good. Now the agenda here for the government is to help this company and boost them up so they can be listed publicly sooner than later. Obviously, that's much better than waiting in an unlisted list, correct? So that's how they work. Anyway, if it's listed, obviously the a IPO, how many those financial specialists that are making money on IPO, and basically that's where the money go. However, under the managed fund, the earning of this obviously would not be as high as a direct IPO shareholder. However, it's still very good, considered very good, and that is why the whole ratio altogether on the compliance significant investment is actually very promising in a way. I often been asked by a lot of interest parties asking that whether the money will actually be invested and it's gone. My answer is, well, obviously I can't say no, but I'll say it's the likelihood is actually very, very low because how the structure the government required the compliance significant investment to be. So it's similarly a very safe investment, and it's actually much better than the treasury bond nowadays, because treasury bond nowadays is all less than 1% earning that interest, which is very, very bad. If you are a true investor, you wouldn't put any money into something that is less than 1%. That's really meaningless. Okay, so the remaining and the balance of that will be about 60% into other managed fund portfolio. Generally, the fund manager will actually put on a lot of commercial leasing and other things like that. So it's much safer, and the earning is actually very good too. Now, I'm not a financial advisor here, so if you want to know more detail about the items that your fund manager invested for you, it's best that you consult with someone who has Australian financial service license, okay? And they will be able to give you a detailed consultation. The video today is basically giving you a framework information in regards to the compliance significant investments. Okay, so let's jump ahead. And that's what I'm talking about, the fund under management in Australia. So this is generally a fund manager will actually maintain at least 100 million. Now that means the fund manager is not actually a small fund manager. Okay, and previous in the very old scheme in SIV, it used to be open for any type of companies to assist the applicant to invest. So they end up with a lot of cheats, fraud, misrepresentation, a lot of problems there. So nowadays, I think you will not get wrong if you have found someone with the license and has this kind of capacity. They won't do things, they won't make decisions lightly. So, okay. Now, talking about Australian residential real property, a lot of people come and ask the fund manager, look, why don't you put my money and invest into the residential property? Now, it's not open. You cannot do that. All these funds can invest it into anything but residential property market. It can invest into land development, but not in straight residential property. So that is banned. That is not, it's not, you will not meet the requirement if you do that under the policy of immigration. Okay. So what else is here? There's talking about these are all talking about different structure of how the fund management works. So I'm not gonna go into these details because that's it's really pointless to do that. But however, let me. So again, the balancing investment, here we go. They can put into any security of a company, real estate investment trust. Now that's excluding the residential property. It can put into bonds as well. Now that bonds depends on what sort of bond. It can be a company bond, but any other stuff that's required there. So if we come back to the actual web page of the 1WB, it does have a very easier view of how this will go. So if you were to invest after 1st of July, you can see here the compliance and the investment. You must be investing in file proportion. That's for the 1WB. So $500,000 into VC and 750,000 into management fund. Okay, and then remaining into the management fund. So again, that's the same thing. So that's a very simplistic way to actually explain this. So what we have just done here today is the video actually explain what compliance significant investment actually defines, and it's being utilized for the 1WC and 1WB. One is a significant investment visa, and the other one is investor stream. So they're both utilizing this definition to allow the invest fund to actually redirect it into different investment items, and that actually boosts the economy. Anyhow, should you have more question or query, more than welcome to leave a comment right down below, and I'll see you next video. Goodbye.